Do you need to change the fuel filter on your Mercury 60 horsepower 4-stroke EFI outboard engine? I'm going to show you how. Stick around. Okay folks, today we are going to do a very simple but very necessary job, and that is changing the fuel filter in your Mercury outboard. Now this applies to 40, 50, and 60 horsepower EFI Mercury engines, and it should be done every 100 hours of usage or annually. I generally do mine once a year, and when I change the oil, I do it while I'm under the hood. It's a super simple task. I'm going to walk you through it. So let's go. First thing you're going to do is want to remove, obviously, the engine cover, and that's as simple as releasing the latch. And removing your cover. Now once you have your cover removed, this is your fuel filter housing right here. Now there are two fuel filters in these engines. You're going to have your canister fuel filter here, and then on the other side, down in the back here, you're going to have your inline fuel filter. There are two fuel filters. The inline one is a high pressure fuel filter. That doesn't necessarily need to be changed as often as the canister filter, and you can go to 300 hours before you need to change that, depending on the environment you're in and the usage, of course. We'll do a separate video on changing that inline fuel filter. But for today, we're going to focus on the canister fuel filter. So here you have the housing, and here is the canister where the filter goes inside. What you're going to want to do to get at this is you can undo this canister here by unscrewing it. If it's on too tight for you to do it by hand, there is a nut underneath, and if you use a 14mm socket, you can get that under there, but you should be able to get this off by hand. And you can see that I can turn that. Now you're going to want to have a small container available, because when you remove that canister, there should be a small amount of residual fuel that will come out, and you don't want that to spill all over. So either get yourself a small container to catch that, some type of cap or something, or a rag to absorb it, either or. Now if it makes it easier for you to be able to get the leverage to loosen that canister here, the whole housing slides out from this bracket here, and there is a rubber grommet with a groove in it, and that fits in that bracket. So all you need to do is pop that out, and that gives you more access to the fuel filter, the whole assembly here. Now when you take a look at your fuel filter assembly, you want to look for any leakage or anything that may indicate that you need to replace the whole unit, because you can either fill just the fuel filter insert that goes inside the canister, or you can replace this whole unit here, which is short money, so it's no big deal. But I mean, it's not necessary if it's not necessary. In my case, I don't see anything indicating to me that I need to replace the whole unit, so I'm just going to go ahead and check the filter that's inside the canister, and I can see that there's an amount of fuel in there. So I'm going to grab my rag here, and simply unscrew the cap. Now there's fuel inside this cap, so I'm going to be careful to make sure I put that in a proper place. And now here's the things I'm going to look for. This is your fuel filter replacement, and all that really does is pop off, and there you can see a little bit of fuel coming out there. And you can see here that this isn't the worst looking fuel filter in the world, but it's certainly dirty, and it is certainly ready to be replaced. Now on this fuel filter itself, you'll see that there is an O-ring. When you get the new fuel filter insert, it's going to have a new O-ring with it. But that being said, there's another O-ring, and that O-ring is on the top of the canister here. And so that doesn't come with the insert. That will come if you buy the whole unit. So you want to make sure you take a look at that and make sure that's in good condition. If it's not in good condition, you want to make sure you either get a new O-ring or you buy the whole unit so you get a new O-ring with that. Now mine looks like it's in perfect condition. I'm not worried about it at all. So I'm going to inspect the inside of the canister. I don't see anything that indicates any problems. I don't see any buildup of residue. It's pretty clean. And again, I'm inspecting the O-ring, and so I'm happy with the condition of this canister. So here's your new fuel filter, and that's going to go inside. And I put the part number on the screen for you so you get the part number. And that should hold true for the 40, 50, and 60 horse 4-stroke EFI motors. And I believe 2001 or newer will be the same part. And here you'll see that it has that new O-ring, so you don't need to reuse the one on the old filter. So you can see the difference between the old filter and the new filter. And so this is simply a matter of popping that in there. And getting it seated in the receptacle that's inside there. And now we're going to go ahead and replace the canister. And we're going to hand tighten that. Not going to overdo it. Never want to over tighten something that's plastic. And then we're going to go ahead and put it back on the bracket here, and the forks on this bracket go right into the groove on this rubber grommet, and that pushes right into place. Now we're going to go ahead and test it out by giving our fuel primer bulb a couple of squeezes. And making sure that we're not getting any leaks. You'll be able to see fuel go into the fuel filter here, into the canister. And as long as you don't see any leaks, you are good to go, and you just replaced your fuel filter. Very important. You want to do that every 100 hours or annually. I hope this was a help to you if you own this particular engine. We'll see you next time on Getting It Done. Until then, stay fishing.